Cars, spices, and kitchens. We're talking about all of this today. Cathy has helped many clients organize each of these areas, and she's sharing lots of insight with us. I'm Jody Pear, and this is Home with Intention. I hope today's conversation inspires you to make simple changes with a big impact. Welcome to the Home with Intention podcast. I'm Jody Pear, your host. I support the do-it-yourself homeowners by delivering interior design services with empathy, intention, and simplicity at jodypeardesigns.com and by curating a collection of meaningful home products available at essentialpairings.com. My purpose with this show is to inspire you to create a home that is a reflection of you and what you value most in life. This podcast will support you in breaking through the limiting thoughts and fears that have been holding you back from creating a home that is uniquely you. There are no decorating rules or trends to follow here. Only inspiration, ideas, and encouragement to express your kind of beautiful, a home that captures the essence of your soul. It's time to create your home with intention.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cathy Feltz.
And I'm Jody Pear.
And today we are going to talk to you about one of our favorite people, our friend, Julie Morgenstern. And we're going to talk a little bit about the idea of like with like and organizing for function. So those two things together, and those are very basic principles of organizing. And if you take those ideas and you put them into any area in your life, your business, anywhere, it's going to help you. Even in your car, you can organize your car, which I've done for people.
You have? Tell us more about that. I think that would be, because my mind automatically went to, well, what would you organize? What is there? I keep very little in my car.
So, well, and some people do a lot of traveling in their car for work, or they do a lot of traveling. Think of like a mom with their kids and all their sporting supplies and, carting kids all around to school and their activities and all that. People are in their cars a lot. And so having an organized car really can help you. I've seen people who like the busier their life got. I had a gentleman whose wife got sick, and so they were doing lots of running to the doctor and the hospital and going to pick up medication and all that. And as his life got busier and busier, his car became more and more chaotic, like fast food wrappers in the back seat and files in the front seat and things just all over the place.
Wow.
And so sometimes even your car needs a little bit of love and some organization. Wow. And people who work outside the home and do a lot of traveling for work, they almost have, I call it my branch office. They almost have to have a system for, their work, files or books, papers, whatever. And it needs to be organized.
That makes sense. I just haven't had to do that myself. I haven't really given that much thought, but yes, that makes a lot of sense. Wow.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I feel like we got off topic.
Sorry, I was so curious.
We're talking about like with like and organizing by function.
Oh my gosh. And I think what started this conversation was the example from Julie Morgenstern's book about how she started organizing when her baby was born. And so she had to organize the diaper bag. And that's when it struck her that she had to start categorizing the things that she was keeping in the diaper bag. So the diaper bag, I don't know, just like things with like, all right, thinking about organizing just a variety of things. I used to think like spices. I don't know why my mind is going to spices. I used to feel like if you could alphabetize your spices, like you just have too much time on your hands. Like really, who would do that? And guess what? I did. I don't know what spurred me to do that, but I did. And Well, I guess it was because I was trying to consolidate and I was cleaning out a cupboard and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to try this.
Mm-hmm.
And I put all of my spices in alphabetical order. And what it did is it made me see what we didn't have, but also what we had duplicates of at a glance. And then it just helped consolidate that. And so that was a huge help for me to be able to do that. And I just did that for my bonus daughter because she is kind of setting up her house. She's a newlywed and she got one of those spice organizers as a wedding gift. And I was just helping her kind of sort some things out the other day. And I did quickly alphabetize her spices. And she's just like, oh my gosh, Jody, like, really? I'm like, you will thank me one day. This was for your own good.
Well, it is funny, like once you do that, you see how much time it saves you and you see how nice it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get used to our disorganization. We get used to a space or an area not really working, but it's like, well, that's just how it is. And then you fix it or make it better, and you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
nice.
Yes.
No.
Yes. What else in the kitchen? I mean, what else? What other things have you been faced with helping people organize in their kitchen? Is that a big area? I gotta believe it is.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kitchen is a huge area for people because it's the gathering place where you make all your meals. People spend lots of time in the kitchen. For a lot of people, it's kind of the command center or the hub of their house.
Mm-hmm.
So when the kitchen is working and functioning smoothly, then other spaces kind of follow. It can really ease a lot of stress and congestion if that space is working. Just another idea on spices. So
Yeah.
there's advertising spices like across the board, but then I've seen people, depending on how you cook, how you like to cook, and how your mind works, I've seen people organized by like all the spices for the vegetables go in a container, all the
Mm.
spices for meat go in a container, all your spices for fish go in a container, all your, well, baking isn't really a spice, although there are spices for baking.
Yeah.
You could put all your baking spices together. And that way, when they're working on making dinner and they're having meat, they pull out the whole tray or little container that has all the spices for meat. So it just depends, and I think it's good to play around with it a little bit and see what really works for you.
I love
So that
that idea. And what just struck me as you were talking about that is I mean, I would think of spices as one category, but for so many people, depending on your lifestyle, that may be a huge category. And your cupboard may not even be big enough to to store all of those spices. So we've talked about this before where you take an idea but then you break it down even further, and so that's like a perfect example of how make it work for you and break down that spice category further into how you use things. If you're baking a lot, if you're barbecuing a lot, if you're you know
Mhm.
having, I don't know, if you're a vegetarian and you're doing a lot of cooking with vegetables, like to break those down, that category down even further, and put them all in a tray or a container that you could just easily grab and put it away somewhere. But that's a great idea. I never put that together, or thought about putting that together in the kitchen in that way.
Mhm.
Huh. And that could go in so many directions, and also like oils and vinegars. I mean, like that's another big category. But also, I mean, I guess it wouldn't just be food related because so much else is happening in the kitchen.
In
I
the
mean,
kitchen. Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Two other big areas in the kitchen that can become problematic are the amount of Tupperware
Oh,
or plastic storage containers that people have that oftentimes gets out of control.
yeah.
I recommend for people to throw away ones that are like not even meant for long-term storage. You get like food comes in the little container from the store, and sometimes people save that. I recommend just recycling those, getting rid of those, and then really looking at what you use. Anything that the top is lost, then get rid of that. Or, vice versa. If the bottom is lost, get rid of the tops. Depending on your space, there's 2 ways to store that. That's stacking up your empty containers in one area and putting all your lids like next to it in another area, or putting the lids right on the container and stacking it that way so you're never searching for your lid. Yes. So depending on your space, both of those are options.
That is a huge area. That is such a frustration for so many people. And I'm included in that. It's like that cupboard that is, for the Tupperware and the plastic ware. It's like you open it and it's just, oh. So I do. Yeah, I haven't had anything fall on me yet, but I do regularly clean that out, because it does very easily get out of control, because you might have a carry out from a meal and, a restaurant, and it's like, oh, that's a really good container, but it doesn't fall into place with any other container that you already have. And so then it just gets tossed in there, and it just becomes clutter, and it just creates that sense of overwhelm and frustration so quickly. So I do regularly go through and try to, just restack things. And I started buying, I love Costco, and they have these containers for restaurants, and they're just black rectangular containers with nice lids, and they stack so well, like in this nice column. And so I've bought those, and I use those until they break or whatever, or they're too old. But that helps a lot with keeping that area clear for me, and stacking the empty containers, and then stacking the lids next to it, or even on top if I have enough height. And then all the other odds and ends, like the other odd shaped containers, I put the lid on the container, and then I start stacking those. But I can see them easily because I don't have as many of those. But this is so good. I think this is so helpful for people.
Yeah. And one more tip on containers: if you have like older containers, we don't remember what we bought when usually, but your container will let you know it's old when it starts to turn yellow. If it starts to yellow, you want to get rid of it, because it means that, my understanding is, it means that the plastic is breaking down. Oh. So you don't want to be using that. So if it's yellowed, go ahead and toss it. Recycle. Yeah,
that's a great tip. Oh, this was fun, Cathy. Thank you. It was great to see you. I hope everybody appreciated this, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, good to see you, Jody, and bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you listen on, because it helps me to grow this podcast and to reach more people. Because the more people who choose their surroundings with intention, the more people can follow their heart back home to themselves, which is the mission for this podcast. Once a month, I will randomly select a reviewer and offer them a free download of my book, The Art of Decorating with Intention, a guidebook to creating an oasis for your soul. For more frequent insights and inspiration, you can follow me on Instagram at Jody Pear Designs. I have been fortunate enough to find the most helpful resources and amazing people whose work has touched me and inspired me to show up here today. TheHouseCoachingInstitute.com. Cathy Heller's inspiring podcast, Don't Keep Your Day Job. Alison Barker's work and her new podcast, Your Soulful Brand. The Sheri Nancy Show, a podcast for women in their 50s that is hilarious and deeply inspiring. And Sandy Monroe. She is a joyful life lived on Instagram, and her brilliant teachings and guidance are exactly what I need. I'm so grateful to have found each one of you along the path towards fulfilling my dreams. I'll see you in the next episode of Home with Intention.